You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, well, happy Tuesday evening. This is Rick Robinson, one half of the crew here, right here on KLRNradio.com, and you're listening to Jenn and Rick. I'm, again, one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. She's the other half, Miss Jen. How are you? And I think I may have finally managed to get the hamsters under control again. I think, maybe, for the moment.
I'm doing good. Just recovering from, the holidays. How about yourself?
Can I just say I'm glad they're over, and I'm glad 2016 is done, and I'm just over it.
I'm definitely glad to see 2016 go down the drain.
I wanted it to die in a fire. Hell with watching it go down a drain.
Well, I think I have to be reminded a few times of some really great things that also happened in 2016, but it's just so greatly overshadowed by Did you happen to see any of the Mariah Carey disaster on New Year's Eve?
Actually, I watched every last bit of it, and it was terrifying, and I still couldn't not look away. I mean, it was just, it was terrible.
Right. It was like a train wreck. Like you can't change it. You can't. I mean, I was with some family, and we were in the middle of a game, and we had to stop because we were like, what is happening here? This is so insane. And coming from being one myself and coming from a family of performers, there were all sorts of excuses made and things, but the bottom line is that she was a hot mess and didn't handle herself professionally at all, even if it was all these other reasons that something happened. It was just, wow. So 2016 without a bang went off without a bang and went away, and I think her career maybe did too.
Can I just say?
Not that she was.
Can I just say I hope it went away?
Yeah. Not that she was super relevant currently to begin with, but whatever.
Yeah, I have to say that was probably one of the final victims of the curse of 2016 was Mariah Carey's career. Not that I was sad to see it go away. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, first of all, I don't know who keeps giving her fashion advice, but she needs to fire them. Second of all, who can't lip sync even when you're drunk? Drunk people invented lip syncing, for God's sake.
I know. I think and some people were getting up in arms about that, like she was gonna lip sync, and it's like, well, it's called tracks. They have these back tracks because you can't sing everything live the way that it was produced in a studio, especially for something like pop music. So, she was going to sing over some of it, and then she was going to have these tracks in the back that she could rely on, and then she could just pick and choose what parts she was going to sing. And this is really standard, really normal, especially for someone that also incorporates some dancing. I just thought it was so weird how, all of her stage performers tried to continue, but she just basically was this, and it was just so embarrassing.
It was terrifying is what it was. And I mean, I was watching, the wife was there, a sister-in-law was there, her boyfriend, and he just kept saying over and over again, she's either drunk or high, I don't know which one. And I mean, it was sad to watch. Because, I mean, Mariah Carey, I grew up listening to her music. I mean, so, it's just one of those things where, it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess not nearly the same thing, but I remember my aunt when I was a kid talking about how sad it was the day that Elvis collapsed on the stage during one of his last performances, and how sad it was to see somebody that used to have all that energy basically just wind up as a heap on the stage. And not nearly the same caliber entertainer, so nobody send me any hate mail. I'm not trying to compare Mariah Carey to Elvis Presley. But at the same time, watching somebody that you kind of grew up listening to their music basically go out looking a little Whitney Houston-esque, shall we say? Not a high point for Miss Mariah, for sure.
Yeah, I won't be missing seeing her around. She already dresses, in a way that she's way past the age for, and I don't find her all that entertaining at all. So bye-bye.
In other words, Miss Jenn is like, Mariah, we'll see you later. All right. So
I don't care.
Pretty much. So I don't know. So any high points for you so far for 2017?
Oh goodness.
I mean it's early.
I
so
haven't really been able to. No, I haven't been able to enjoy my. Oh, I know. Seeing some of the new Congress members get sworn in and realize that the one and only Harry Reid is no longer in Congress.
Yes. So that is definitely a good thing for 2017 so far. Harry.
I think that's a high point.
So
starting off on the right foot.
Definitely. Harry Reid no longer being part of Congress is definitely a high point for 2017. So far, one of my high points is watching all of the folks that were latched onto the alt-right and telling them what great people they are suddenly backpedaling and telling everybody they never really wanted to have anything to do with the racists. That's been fun.
Yes, definitely has been. I've been watching some of that go down as well and acting as if, they never were in bed with these people. And it's like, how are you saying this? How can you even possibly, I guess you're going to scrub your account because it's very obvious that yes, you were.
It's just funny. I mean, because, I actually, as usual, was picking on Bill Mitchell was something that he had said again, because he was basically like, look, I didn't espouse any of these people. I don't know who they are. And I'm not, I don't want to have anything to do with racism. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was a tweet that he'd put out. And I said, that would have been a really nice thing for you to say during the primaries, not after you latched on to a bunch of racists and propped them up and propped up your own brand and everything else, and now that you got what you wanted from them, you're discarding them. Now, I want to clarify that a little bit, because it's not necessarily that I care that they're leeching off of a bunch of racists, but when the left and the media go out of their way to paint the Republican Party and the GOP as a group of old white racists, and then you climb into bed with a bunch of racists, and then after you get what you want from them, you kick them out, what do you expect people to say? What do you expect people to think? And then there are people that are like, well, the alt-right doesn't mean what the mainstream media says it means. I'm not getting my information from the mainstream media. I'm pulling it from a search engine that's plain out says who actually started using that term first. Now, if you guys want to try to co-opt it and change it to something else, you probably should have made that point a lot clearer, because the folks that started the term alt-right, it's still theirs as far as they're concerned, and what you've done throughout the last 18 months is galvanize them and make them feel legitimate enough that now one of them is actually considering a run for Congress. So welcome to the new GOP. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way for so many of these people that, like you said, that were just really pushing Trump and were woohoo, on the train, MAGA, all that stuff, can just now decide that they're not going to be a part of what makes up the group of very avid pro-Trumpers. I mean, that they, like, I think I saw you say at one point, you laid down with them and you got fleas. Like, that's what happens. It's not exactly something that they can just shrug off, no matter how many tweets they send or how hard they try.
And that was something that I tried to use as an analogy to get the point across, because I'm like, look, you guys during this entire election cycle, you knew what you were doing, you knew who you were aligning yourself with, and now you're mad because everybody's looking at you because you've laid down with a bunch of dogs and now you've wound up with fleas. Well, the fleas can be washed off. I'm like, you're missing the point. Because at some point along the way, the folks that are still in the GOP, for the most part, have lost track of something that was important. And I'm not saying that about everyone. I understand that there are plenty of people that supported Trump that aren't racist. But what you're not understanding is those of you who weren't racist, that were supporting him for everything that you thought was the right reason, you still, as a group, were tacitly involved with people that espouse racist ideologies. And they were a part of your movement, whether you wanted them to be or not. If you were going to get rid of them, the time to do that is not now, post-election, because now it's disingenuous at best. If you were going to get rid of them, you should have done that in the beginning, but what keeps being shoved up to me over and over again is there's no way that we could have won without them, so who cares if they wanted to vote for Trump because we got what we wanted from them. That's not how that works, because you have legitimized an entire group of people that, as far as I'm concerned, should be relegated to history. And you've made them relevant again, even though they shouldn't be. And now we're going to have to face the consequences of that action, because they're not just going to quietly go away into the night, no matter how many times you guys think you can just shower and be done with them. That's not how this works. This was not a one-night stand, ladies and gentlemen. You got into bed with a bunch of racists. Now you're going to have to pay the consequences. That's one of the things that we've been screaming about for the last 2 years, is you were not acknowledging who was helping you push your candidate. Now he's everyone's president-elect, so now everyone that was involved with those racist types is trying to shy away from it, going, well, I had no idea that that's what this person really was like, and I didn't know. No, you knew. You just didn't care. Because one of the things that has been a predominant theory in America for the longest time and needs to again be relegated to history is one of the philosophies of Sun Tzu. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That doesn't work in war, and it damn sure does not belong in politics, yet time and time again we find it there. The Tea Party was destroyed from within because of the whole the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's the stuff that Bill Mitchell is spewing right now. It's the same argument they used once the Tea Party got up and was moving and was galvanized to start splintering off and getting rid of the people they didn't actually want. They just needed their voice for a short time. So that's what they're doing again with this Trump movement, is now they're like, well, we got what we wanted. These people weren't really part of our movement. This is more important than ideology, and we should be focusing on this now, and these people need to go away. That's not how this works. And the fact that we now have an entire political party that has decided the ends justify the means is disturbing to me.
Right, and I think, like you said, there's no way these people didn't know. They knew, and even if some of them didn't, we were telling them. And even right media, not just mainstream media, but even right media outlets were telling them that these alt-righters, that there was bigotry, there was racism, there was, a lot of these underlying tones and things that was unsettling and was disturbing for a lot of people that a lot of people on the right that do not buy into all of that, and certainly don't buy into, really the identity politics, but this is like swinging wholly the other way. So it's just, ignorance is no excuse. There was no ignorance. They knew, and they turned the other cheek.
No, exactly. And that's one of the things that each time I see somebody like Bill Mitchell or one of the other more prominent names that is basically galvanized their whole following at this point was galvanized by the Trump campaign. And that's because when they started seeing their numbers go completely insane, they weren't doing anything to curtail those numbers. And now there's an entire group of the Trump movement that feels completely disenfranchised by these people because they're like, wait, I was good enough to vote for your candidate, now you're trying to kick me to the curb? And again, I'm not disputing the fact that they need to do that, but if they're going to do it, now is the wrong time to do that. You can't use these people to get what you wanted and then go, oh, well, thank you for voting for my guy, but you suck, so get the hell away from me. That's not how this works.
Right. It's really not. And so they know, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they just don't like how they are being treated and what they're being labeled as now. And now they don't need them anymore, so it's safe for them to say, oh, never mind, and so it was absolutely politically expedient in order to get Trump elected, and they're just trying to backtrack it now so that they can move on with their lives and get jobs, I don't know, maybe in his administration or, I mean, not his administration, but just along the lines politically because of their affiliation with trying so hard to get him elected. And so that's why they're doing what they're doing right now.
No, I don't know. There's really not too much more to say about that other than the fact that at this point, they're getting exactly what we knew they had coming to them. And the funny thing is now they're being treated exactly like the Never Trump were during the primaries and the general, because we kept saying, hey, you guys are making a mistake. You're going to pay for this later, and now they're trying to distance themselves from these people, and they're like, oh, well, you cuck little blah, 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 I'm going to come find you, and I'm going to get you. And I'm like, oh, all of this looks really, really familiar. Maybe you should have listened to us like a year ago when we told you this was a very, very bad idea.
Yep, exactly.
Speaking of bad ideas, we're going to tease this a little bit, then we're going to go ahead and get the break out of the way. So according to Red State, parents suing for Mike Brown's potential future wages claim academic and medical records are relevant. So we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. The hamsters are starting to act up a little bit again, so I'm going to go ahead and get the break out of the way so I can hopefully try to figure out why I keep having latency issues. But we'll be right back here in just a couple minutes.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our...
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey, folks.
Fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one.
You know, on a side note, something that we could do for our country, do something about our education system, because this next story is just completely insane. I'm going to let you take lead on this one, because I talked through most of the last segment.
Okay, so this, you can't make this up. The parents of Michael Brown, you know, of the Hands Up, Don't Shoot fame from Ferguson, are suing for the financial support they have lost due to the death of their son, you know, who was shot shot by police when he tried a firearm after robbing a store. So they're basically saying that he would have supported them at some point, so they're suing for those wages that he lost by being killed at 18 years old, even though his future was looking very bright going the way that it was, even had he survived. I'm just being rude now, but they are refusing to allow their son's academic and medical records to be used as evidence. So please tell me exactly how the city is supposed to decide what those wages would be, what a fair price would be, saying, if they were to consider, even for a moment, if the courts were to consider to oblige them. They need to know these things to be able to come to a logical conclusion about what kind of financial support to give them. But they go even further because they say that asking for those things is irrelevant, and they call the city's repeated requests for these documents harassing. So now they're working up a harassment thing, and don't be surprised if you don't see that as an angle here pretty soon. But I like in this Red State article, it says, Michael Brown's death is tragic, but primarily because he didn't have the good sense to realize that trying to take away a police officer's sidearm through a patrol car window was a terribly bad idea. Also tragic is that the people whose responsibility it was to teach him that good sense are now trying to use his death and the resulting media circus to get paid. And that's the bottom line. I mean, they are just trying to capitalize on this, and it's sad that they are basically exploiting the death of their son in order to do so.
I mean, exactly. They're actually trying to. I mean, they probably would have better. They probably would have had. Sorry, remember in a second. I'll remember how to talk. They probably would have had better luck setting up a GoFundMe account and saying, "Please help us because our son was going to support us in our later years, and the police shot him." They probably would have gotten more sympathy from something like that, and that is just as crazy. But I mean, with somebody who had no visible means of income other than strong-arm robbery, I mean, I'm not sure how exactly you take that into account and be like, well, he could have held up at least 15 liquor stores a week and probably had a haul of about $1,000 a store. So that's $15,000 times 30 years that the police have robbed from us from our income. $15,000 a month times 30 years. I mean, that's just about it.
Yeah, I don't understand. If they don't want to submit these documents the city needs in order to even consider their case at all, I don't know what they're expecting. And I think I know, and actually that's wrong. I think I know exactly what they're expecting. I think they're expecting the city to continue to ask for this and then say, well, now they're harassing us. So then file a harassment suit against the city. Then further continue to charge the city with racism and whatever else, sort of classist type thing that they can think of because they want these things. And so I think they're looking to get multiple paydays out of this, unfortunately. That would be my guess.
And your guess probably isn't very far off. Because it seems like that's exactly what they're trying to do, is try to find a way to get a payday off of the fact that they lost their son. And look, I know I've said this before and I've gotten hate mail from this, but I'm going to say this again. Because there is a reason Mike Brown died. Mike Brown died because I'm fairly certain that he probably never really had a parental figure in his life once he reached a certain age that bothered to even attempt to stand up to him. And if they did, by the time they did, it was too late. Because what he figured out as a teenager and then eventually an adult was if I yell loud enough and long enough and scream enough, they're going to give me what I want. He tried that same behavior with a police officer, and he was killed for it. Now, ultimately, and again, I'm going to get hate mail from this, but as a parent, if my child is trying to browbeat a store owner and then tries to browbeat a police officer and ultimately is shot dead for those actions, who is ultimately to blame? First, the child who chose to make those actions is ultimately the one responsible. Secondly, I have to take some of the blame because obviously at some point my parenting broke down or my child wouldn't have been stupid enough to think that he could intimidate a cop.
Well, yes, that's exactly the point. And you know what? I do actually agree with people that say that it was a senseless death. it was 100% senseless, just not the way that they want to portray it. It was senseless of Michael Brown to have gone after that cop the way he did and get himself killed. So, yes, it was senseless. His death was unnecessary completely. But the burden lays on himself, not on the officer who was protecting himself and then also doing his job.
No, exactly. And it's time for this story to go away. I mean, it just seems like every time I turn around, there's some other angle that's being worked, or it's and if they don't get what they want, it's going to become this story about how the city that they live in hates them because they're black.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, this is just a cycle that we've been in, and it seems to only be getting worse, not better. I don't think it's going to get better under the Trump presidency. I think that I think that the match has been lit, and it is going for it like a wildfire. It is going to take time and a various number of factors all coming together at the right time in order for it to be put out. And I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, this is another one of those things, and we talk about this a little bit on this show. The genie is out of the bottle. I don't see any way, at least in the immediate future, to get the genie back into the bottle. Not without making some rather substantial changes to our entire society at this point, because we have literally become this entitled, spoiled group of people that think that everything should be handed to us. This particular story reinforces that fact, and unfortunately, these are people likely from my generation that are sitting there with their hand out saying, the police killed my son, so now I need the money that he would have been able to give us later in life. There's no guarantee he would have been able to give them any money later in life based on the actions that he was making or that he was partaking in at the time of his death. So I don't think they have a leg to stand on, and the fact that they won't supply the paperwork proves to me that they don't have a leg to stand on.
Right. And yeah, that's exactly right. There are no guarantees. And, I think that when there is an actual wrongful death, which we know that this was not, and it was there was no, the officer was not charged. There was not enough evidence to support any wrongdoing on the behalf of the police department, the police officer, and the city. So, this is just really, I think when there is a wrongful death of that kind, then maybe you can justify some sort of payment like this, but not in a case like this. It's just absurd to me.
No, exactly. So there have been a few other interesting little tidbits that have come across the news feed while we've been talking. Something I missed, which I guess I should have known. But I'm sure there's a lot of Trump supporters that aren't real happy right now because apparently the House has reelected Paul Ryan as their speaker. I'm sure there were about a bazillion Trump supporters that weren't real happy to hear about that news, but apparently that's a done deal. So I'm sure they weren't happy about that at all.
Right. I'm sure they were not. I don't even have a lot to comment on it, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say that ultimately, I guess I'm okay with Ryan remaining speaker. He can't be any worse than the orange guy we've had in there.
I don't think. I think that this was inevitable. I don't think that it's something. It's not news, really. I mean, it is just because he had to be renominated, but it's not. It's not really news. We knew this was going to happen. He is, one of the main leaders of the Republican Party, and this was a foregone conclusion. And no matter what the Trump stuff and everything that was happening there, whether they made up or not, it wasn't going to change what was going to happen in Congress today with that. So, no surprise. I think he's a good fit for it. I think it's a good place for him to be, and that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll probably get some hate mail for it too, but I'm pretty okay with Paul Ryan remaining Speaker of the House. Now, there is something else that's kind of newsworthy that you may not know about. Apparently, there are a lot of Trump supporters that are currently sounding off that they believe Julian Assange over both, or actually the CIA, the FBI, and even Barack Obama. Now that last one, I can give him that last one. I don't really trust Barack Obama much further than I can throw him. But they're taking things a step further. I've actually seen a couple of people start talking on Twitter about the fact that they hope Trump disbands the CIA.
Oh my goodness. I have not seen that. That is insane.
Yeah. This particular brand of Republican is kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. That is, no, we can't do that. They would never do that. Nobody would ever do that. Oh my goodness. I swear, these people, I think they got so eat up with everything during the election and all the things that he said he was going to do and how no one can stop him, and already kind of heading into the beginning of 2017, things that happened in the closing weeks of 2016, there seemed to be some things that he was able to set in motion. It kind of seems like he was already kind of getting some stuff done, like they like to say. And so I think they're getting a little in over their heads, and they're a little too big for their britches, which, Trump was during the entire campaign, but we always knew that was going to be a whole lot of, machismo type stuff and not so much follow through. We've all said that all along. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. He can't do this. He can't do that. But his supporters and some people, even in the political arena, really wish that he could just rule with an iron fist and do things like that on a whim, and it's crazy. Some people.
Just checking. It actually was us. Woohoo! Oh, yeah. So, sorry, folks. We've had some technical issues with the server for the last couple of days. I think we might have finally gotten the majority of them ironed out. I don't know. This whole idea, and don't take this the wrong way, because I'm somebody that doesn't really trust the government very much either. I think the government needs to be involved in our daily lives as little as possible. But to completely turn a blind eye to entire branches of the government, only because you don't necessarily like the person who's at the head of the government right now, that just seems a little crazy to me. And look, again, I'm not one of these people that's going to say, well, yes, by God, the Russians hacked us and they did this and they did that. I understand that that's where a lot of the catching points are right now, because the CIA seems to think that they did. The FBI was kind of on the fence as to whether or not they did, or even if they did, whether it had any impact. And, of course, Obama's like, I have the smoking gun that Putin hacked us. No, actually, he doesn't. I don't know where the truth is in this instance. I don't know how much of an impact the Russians had on... Sorry, I don't know the impact the Russians may or may not have had on our election. I really don't. But at this point, one of the things that I can tell you is whether or not the Russians have had an impact on our election or not, Putin is not our friend. So all of these Trump supporters that are suddenly like, Putin's the best leader ever, look at how strong he is, look how rugged he is. Do you not pay attention to the things that the man does in his home country? Because, yes, he comes out, he talks tough, he looks tough. It's, again, going back to what you said a second ago, lots of machismo, and apparently the Trump crowd seems to love that. But we're talking about a man who jails reporters. We're talking about a man whose enemies mysteriously disappear. This is not good. To have people put, and I've seen multiple people doing this, say that and this is actually almost a direct quote from a tweet. I never in my life thought there would come a time that I would trust the president of Russia over my president here in America. Now, I don't care what the Russians have or haven't done, and I don't care how much you don't like Barack Obama. The simple fact of the matter is, to say things like that, it terrifies me, because you're talking about somebody who cut his teeth in the KGB, and you're telling me he's more trustworthy than the CIA and the FBI.
Right. It makes absolutely no sense, and they love to throw around this word traitor and for all sorts of ridiculous things. But this kind of thing, trusting someone like a dictator like Putin. I mean, I know he's a president, whatever. He's a dictator. I just saw a thing today where there's some guy that criticized him that's going to be jailed, and he's about to have a trial, and he could possibly be executed. I mean, there's no bones about it. He's an authoritarian, and he rules that country the way that Putin wants to rule that country. And to be giving the kinds of praise and deference to this person, and to be wanting to emulate him or have our leaders emulate him, that is more broaching treasonous territory than anything that they have called traitor, someone a traitor for this entire election cycle and leading into 2017. I mean, it's just absurd.
It's terrifying is what it is, to realize.
Yes, it is.
And, again, there's blame for this, too. A lot of this blame goes to the mainstream media. A lot of this blame also goes to the current administration, because they are the ones who, anytime they had a chance to kind of bring everybody back into the fold, like he said he was going to do, they did the exact opposite. And that is one of the things that has driven me crazy, because over the last few months, I've seen all of these positive remarks about how good the economy's been under Obama and all the different things that have gone well under Obama. And I'm looking at the numbers, the actual numbers that nobody talks about. And I'm like, you people are insane. I mean, we still have the highest number of people on food stamps since the 70s. We still have the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s. These things all happened under Barack Obama. You can't blame George Bush anymore. And the fact that now he's trying to bookend things and start trying to blame Trump for things when he hasn't even taken office yet, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, that's like all these people that are trying to take all of this positive stuff that started to happen over the last month or so, and they're like, oh, look, this is all because Trump. Well, whether it is or it isn't, it's still going to go down as a positive in the Obama column, because he was the one that was actually president right now. Now, it could be that there has been a positive shift in this country because a lot of people are feeling like they have somebody that may actually listen to them and is pro-business. So that may explain a lot of the things that are starting to come out. Now, the thing that nobody wants to talk about with this stuff, though, is none of it's been written in stone yet. They can tell you whatever they want, and they can tell President-elect Trump all day long that, yes, Ford is talking about not investing $1.6 billion in Mexico, and is now suddenly talking about investing $750 to $800 million in Detroit. Now, they can say that all they want. The simple fact of the matter is, when it comes time to put pen to paper, are they actually going to do it? Or is this just a ploy to try to keep him at bay right now, because they know what he's starting to think about doing? Because I actually saw a tweet of his earlier today where he was talking about the Chevy, I think it's the Chevy Cruze, that is built in Mexico and then shipped across the border tax-free. And apparently he wants to fix that by making sure that they pay a pretty hefty tax at the border to be able to ship their Mexican-made car, even though it's Chevy, which is an American company, back into this country and sell it to us. He's going to jack up the price by making sure that they get tariffed. This is not a good plan.
Well, no, and so many of the plans are not good plans, as particularly in regards to trade. And I think there's been a lot of people that have really become so, I guess, just obsessed with this idea of American made and of keeping the jobs here to the point of where they've lost their other sensible values, which are, to not force companies into certain things, to not create these outrageous tariffs, to not have penalties for certain very common business practices, and for being able to find some place that they can do it better and with fewer regulations. I mean, our government only becomes more regulatory of businesses, but then we want them to produce more here and still keep it cheap enough and still pay people high wages and still do, there's just all of these things on a checklist that they can't possibly, meet them all to the best standards. And so there are multiple reasons why companies leave. And I know everyone's going to say greedy corporations, they're so greedy and they just build and they're looking to capitalize on poor, children in sweatshops or whatever. But it's not always as simple as that. And so, when you talk about these kinds of things, it sounds very bad, very, very bad for all parties involved.
Sorry, I have an engineer yelling in my ear about an issue with the player, so I guess maybe it's not fixed after all. So I actually missed some of what you were just saying, so I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. It wasn't that important.
Multitask fail.
Yeah, it happens.
So believe it or not, we are getting kind of close to out of time. Anything else you want to touch on while we're starting to wrap up? Because we got a little bit of a late start, so we can actually make up about 5 minutes or so if you want. Or we can go ahead and call it at the top of the hour, which is about 3 minutes from now.
I just think that first of all, I thought there was the news today that Bill and Hillary are going to be attending, as well as the Bushes will be attending the inauguration. And there was a lot of swooning by the left saying, oh, and see, what class she has. She's still going to show up and go, something you would never see out of the GOP, and certainly not Trump, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It struck me kind of funny, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, of course, anytime they're just fawning over her, it's eye roll worthy. But I couldn't figure out why it was actually more of just kind of annoying this time, and it was kind of weird to me. And then I realized, oh, duh, because they're ascribing this class to her, and they're crediting her for being the big person and going to this inauguration, and what a true patriot and American she is. And see how wonderful, see how strong, see how she puts country over politics. They're using it like that, when in reality, I think they're going more so, yes, she wants to save face, but more so because living presidents typically attend the inauguration. So they're going because of Bill. Bill is expected to attend and be photographed there with his wife, who happened to lose the race for president in 2016. So I just thought it was kind of funny, all of the, oh my goodness, all of the fawning over her today when this was announced. And I think it really has more to do with our former president, Bill Clinton, than it does our never-to-be president, Hillary.
Yeah, because, it's not common practice at all for former sitting presidents to attend inauguration of the new president. That's never happened in history. Now, to be fair, I'm not so sure Bill's going because he's a former sitting president as much as to go troll for interns, because he's going to be trying to make up for all the ones he's missing out on from Hillary not becoming president.
Maybe so.
His dreams of becoming first man whore went up in smoke.
Yep, they absolutely did, and it's just too dang bad.
So
I don't feel sorry for either one of them.
One quick note to get out of here on, actually a couple. That whole, Trump supporters aren't racist thing just kind of all blew back up on my timeline again, so you might want to check that out when you have a minute.
Okay, I will.
Also, Megyn Kelly's apparently going to NBC, which has a lot of people really, really happy, because I guess they think Fox News is going to be 1 billion times better without her there.
Oh, yeah, because didn't you know that she is just an evil witch? I found that out. I mean, I know they've kind of were telling me this back during the election, too, but I didn't realize they still harbored such hatred for her. But apparently she's an evil witch. She's a liar. She's dishonest. She has it out for people like Trump, and that's only because she wanted a piece of him and couldn't have it. I mean, all this ridiculous crap. But, yeah, I think it's a good move for her. I think the type of news reporter / journalist, even her commentating, I think that it'll be a really good fit. And she's tough, but I think she's pretty fair. And I know people don't all like her style, even if they like what she has to say. I have been someone who I'm not jumping for joy when her show comes on. I'm also not always going to turn it off. And she's one of those people on Fox that I do look to whenever there is some sort of major situation going on in this country, that she is a show that I will watch, because I do feel like she is tough but fair. And so I think that it's a good move for her, and I think she's going to be someone that's going to give some of those other people that are yes men a run for their money over at NBC.
I think it's a good move for a few different reasons. First of all, it makes room for some of the lesser-known female talk show hosts or news anchors to get a shot. They're actually already starting to float names for possible replacements. One of them is Dana Loesch, which would be amazing if she wound up over at Fox News. I also think it's a good move because to me it signals that NBC is looking to maybe swing a little further from the far left if they're willing to take on somebody like Megyn Kelly.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that is exactly what it kind of signals, that maybe they're listening. I don't know. Maybe this is just a total fluke, but maybe they're listening. Maybe they realize they need a little bit more balance, that they need someone from the right representing them in some small capacity, even though a lot of what she does isn't really left or right. But, because she was on Fox, they always viewed it that way. And because she's tough about the race issues. And that's where she really the leftists really get mad at her. But, maybe they're trying to learn something from this election, and they're trying to broaden the scope there at NBC. But who knows?
I mean, well, it's probably wishful thinking on my part, but it does seem a little interesting that she actually seems to have been offered a position over there. I mean, to me, it does signal that maybe some of the stuff from Fox News is becoming a little more mainstream, which is going to annoy lots of folks, I'm sure. But it's still interesting to me, and I think she will be a good fit over there. And honestly, I mean, I have to say at this point, if the folks that, like this guy that's prattling all over my timeline right now, who is probably a Trump supporter, if they are the new standard bearer for the GOP, and they're the ones that are glad that she's leaving Fox News, I'm glad I don't really watch Fox News very much anymore, and I'm also glad that I've left the GOP and that maybe she's leaving too, as far as leaving to go to NBC. I mean, only time will tell. I mean, it could be that she's decided to slide a little more to the left than she's told anybody, and we won't know for sure until she gets over to NBC exactly what her plans are. But I, for one, at least intend to give her the benefit of the doubt and try to watch her work over there, because I know how hard it is for somebody that starts off somewhere like Fox News to wind up somewhere mainstream, because that rarely ever... Actually, I can't think of any time it's happened up until now.
Yeah, I don't either. But like you said, I'm not watching Fox very often. I'm not really watching anything. When there is something going on, I tend to watch cable news. Other than that, I'm getting my news elsewhere, and I'm reading all sorts of outlets, anything from actual, online newspapers to websites to, even affiliates, watching or, reading some CBS affiliates or this or that. I'm not like at Drudge or at Town Hall Only or anything. I'm reading all over. I read Daily Kos, which just makes my head spin. I read Media Matters sometimes, which makes me want to vomit. But, I try to take it all in. So none of these cable news network kind of tiffs ruffle my feathers at all.
No, I mean, and they don't really ruffle mine either, because I spend most of my time listening to radio more. And honestly, if I watch anything anymore, it usually winds up being The Blaze, unless, of course, Tommy's on. I can't really do Tommy. I tried. I really did, because I'm like, well, if Glenn's playing her, she can't be that bad. Then I'm like, nah, she's kind of that bad.
Yep. She is, all the people calling for her to be the replacement, I was just shaking my head and going, no, please no. Because this is the kind of thing that the right does, where we prop up these pretty faces that seem to be heavy hitters. The problem is that some of them are tried and true, like Dana Loesch, who has worked her way up over a pretty long career in broadcasting, and other journalistic endeavors. And then you've got people that were yanked because they saw that this is a winning combo. This is a hot ticket. And so let's yank someone like Tommy out of the crowd and put her on. She talks fast, she's really pretty, and she says things, with a lot of gusto, and she's got balls. So let's make that happen. And then, she's found herself outwitted quite a bit when actually matched up against anyone worth a hoot. So, I'd be hesitant to have people like that being the face of the right, like so many want them to be. And most of them, it's kind of condescending because it's a pretty girl. Isn't she so great for a pretty girl? Doesn't she talk well for a pretty girl? Doesn't she argue good for a pretty girl? It's kind of that. There's kind of that underlying, condescension about it sometimes.
Kind of sounds like the same thing Joe Biden got in trouble for saying about Obama.
Well, and it's what a lot of liberals get in trouble for saying about African Americans and minorities in general. It's that soft bigotry about it. So, anyways.
Well, believe it or not, we are actually now officially out of time. Why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me?
Yes, you can find me at J Homestead on Twitter, where you will pretty much only find me. A little bit on Facebook at JR Homestead. And then I am part of a group that's pretty smart and writes some really cool things. And we just got our new site. It's misfitspolitics.com. So come check out what's happening over there.
No more misfits.politics.
No Weebly. No long extended thing. We've got a domain, so that's pretty cool. We're excited.
Sweet. You guys are moving on up.
We're trying. We'll see. We're having fun. I know that, so that's good.
All right. Well, and of course, I am Rick Robinson. You can typically find me here every Sunday through Thursday on America Off the Rails at 11 p.m. Eastern. You can hear me right about now, Tuesdays and Thursdays on Jenn and Rick for 10 p.m. Eastern. And also, we do Robinson and Wright Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and Finding Common Ground on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. Yes, I'm a workaholic, and it's been 43 years since my last meeting. On that note, we are out of here. If you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to. You can hit me up at Twitter at AOTR_host. Best way to keep up with me is there. Phone is always with me, always in the pocket. Unless, of course, it's a weekend and the wife wants to go out to dinner, because then I usually leave my phone at home. Funny story, I did that this last weekend because we were going out. She forgot hers, too. Then she was mad at me because I didn't have mine. And I'm like, usually you don't want me to take it with you because I can't stop working if my phone's in my pocket. Stop yelling at me. Anyway, we are out of here, folks. You have a great night. If I can get things situated enough around here, we'll have a America Off the Rails up here in just a couple minutes. I'm going to see if I can get the hamster squared away. We will be hopefully right back here in about 5 or so. Have a good night.
Your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons.